Hi everyone, it's just a quick and dirty tutorial on introduction to computer graphics and the use of Blender for that course. So I'm going through it really fast and you'll see what I mean. I'll make Blender full screen, don't need to see my face for that. And I have the screencast keys on, so you'll see what I press in addition to what I actually do. So if I press, for instance, an N, then it will show up here. Pressing it twice says N twice. Same with the mouse buttons, left mouse button, right mouse button, and middle mouse button, of course. So you can follow that, and if it's too fast, just use YouTube to make it slower. Press space to pause the video. If you want to follow the video, just ahead in chunks. Okay, so basically I'm switching to full screen here. So what I actually want to tell you first is that you should also investigate the tutorials on YouTube. There's, for instance, the Blender fundamentals, which are for Blender 2.8, but they're actually quite okay for 3.52. There is a Blender shortcuts video. You can find it easily, and also look at what Blender Guru does. That's a guy that does extremely good tutorials, and he has an introductory series for modeling a donut, which goes way beyond what we need for our lecture, but you'll see a lot of stuff. There's also some kind of readings in the lecture slides at the end, so take a look at that too. Yeah. So what about Blender? If you open it, you'll see this wonderful cube. That's the common approach in the center, and with the mouse you can actually select it. But what else to do? If you just start with Blender, it's not that easy. So first thing first, it's really good to have a 3-button mouse. If you don't have a 3-button mouse, there is Edit Reference, and here somehow in the input there should be the Emulate 3-button mouse. The same goes if you have a keyboard which does not have a numpad, which is the numbers in a square on the right hand side of your keyboard. You can use Emulate numpad. But try to have a 3-button mouse and a keyboard with a numpad at hand. So starting here, you are in the scene overview, so you can see the scene. You can select stuff with the left mouse button. With the middle mouse button, you can actually look around this origin, and you can zoom in and zoom out with the mouse wheel. That would be the mouse wheel, zooming in and zooming out. Okay, not much else to say. You have two main tools here, which with T you can hide them. The main tools are given here on the side. Move, rotate, scale, transform. I actually never use them because there are good shortcuts for that. And N gives you a lot of different stuff. So item tool, view, they are typically here. There are two things I installed, the screencast keys and the real snow. So you have to install them to have them. This one is actually pretty cool because you can see the transformations here. We'll take a look at them later. So this one is also pretty cool because you can move around by grabbing the axis and doing something with it. So like with the middle mouse button. And yeah, up there, what we are going to do is start in the layout tab. You can go for modeling, sculpting, UE editing, shading, animation, and so on. We'll just use the layout tab and then later on the shading tab, so not much there. Oh, yes. So what be next? Yeah, something that is really happening really often is if you use these sidebars here, sometimes these sidebars actually come up and come down. So what you can do, you can actually split them. For instance, just do a horizontal split and then have another sidebar, and you can arrange what you want. That's actually what you're doing here. If I go to shading, then you have a different arrangement. Go back to modeling, you see the arrangement. If that happens to you, right click on the line and then join areas. You can join this one down, so this one is removed. For instance, we don't need the animation tab here, so we can actually make the layout tab, the scene overview, a little bit bigger. Okay. So what else do we have here? We have the tools and we have the options here. Here is a scene collection, and here are all the things we need. For instance, the transformation of this cube here, which we can also change. For instance, we'll move it up along Z, or we scale it along X. We can reset the stuff with the right mouse button, reset everything to the normal value, so we get back to what we actually wanted. Okay, so the main thing we actually need is navigation in here. So middle mouse button moves the camera around the origin, or actually the 3D cursor. And we can do the same thing with the axis here. Grab them and move it around. Move in, move out a little bit. And the hand would basically move stuff left and right. Zoom in, zoom out would zoom in and zoom out, of course. And there we move to the camera view. So it's now looking through the camera, see? And there we can actually switch the perspective to orthographic projection. This is something I typically do not use. So what I typically use is the numpad. If you're in here and use the numpad, if you press 1 on the numpad, you'll see front view. So the z-axis goes up and the y-axis sticks out. If we use 3, then we'll see it from the side with the z-axis going down, the x-axis sticking out. We have the top view at 7. We see it from above, and we also have a view from the bottom, which gives us the view, from below. We can switch between perspective and you can switch between perspective and orthographic view with numpad 5 in the center of the numpad. And what you also can do is, let's go to the front view. You can just move around by pressing 6 and 4 and 8 and 2. So this would move around in certain steps and go back. Okay, what else can we do? We can also focus on something with the comma here, which is kind of not good at all right now because we already have the focus there. But if we move the focus, we should be able to get back with on here. Nope, obviously not. Something is wrong. View, align view. The view to cursor. That's good. That's what we wanted. Center view to. Okay, so maybe it's about the object. If we move it here and then press this one, yes, then it focuses on the object. Okay, going back with Control C, of course. So if we have something we want to get, Control C, you align the view to the cursor, center view to the cursor, and we are back. Okay. Yeah, so that's basically that. There is Control and the middle mouse button, which also gives you the zoom version instead of just the mouse wheel. So you basically can move around now. What else do we need? We have these objects in space here. We have this cube here in the scene collection and scene overview too. And we can actually select it, for instance, by just clicking it, and you see it on the orange outline. But what you also can do is a box select. So then everything in the box will be selected, and the circle select, where you actually paint stuff for selection. Right mouse click then actually ends these circles. Okay, now that we have it, we can scale it. Wait here, scale it. We can rotate it. And of course we can move it and down, for instance. Okay, so, but this is rather awkward if you just put it in here or in here. So if you want to do it numerically, for instance, if you want to have the cube sitting on top of the origin, you set it up 1 meter and then it's up there. So that works. We can look at it from the front view. We can actually see that. With 0, we get back to the camera view. Okay, so that's one thing. But what you can also do is you can use G for grab to change the location. You can change the location freely. And you can also use it down to one axis. You can move it along X, hitting X, Y along Y, and Z along Z. Okay, right mouse button always stops this and gets back to the origin. If I move it along C and press the left mouse button, then this actually works. The same goes for rotation. Now I can rotate it arbitrarily, as you can see in the rotation of the transformation values. But I can stick this one, for instance, to X, then it rotates just around X. And let's leave it at that. Okay, now we can just grab stuff and move it along C, for instance. But what is pretty cool is that if it's rotated, then the local axis, so in model space, is different. Hitting Z twice actually switches to the local axis. So switching C is general movement, global Z-axis, local Z-axis. Okay, this basically with X, Y, and Z works for each of them. I'll just reset the rotation to 0 here for those and here. So what you can also do is you can, for instance, use the keyboard like grab along C 1 meter, and then it's up 1 meter. You can, for instance, rotate along X for 75 degrees. And now we're rotated by 175 degrees. Yeah, so you can use that to transform everything. Of course, scale X 2 times. Then we have a certain scale on X. And hitting the right mouse button always gets you back where you started. It's also nice to see that with the camera. So if we have the camera hitting 0, we are inside the camera. We can use the camera along Z. But we can also use it along Z locally on the camera. And that is the axis that the camera is moving forward and backward. So G, Z, Z moves the camera in and out. G, Z moves the camera up and down along the global Z axis. And that's actually pretty cool because also for rotation, if you want to rotate the camera along Z to move around, that totally works. But you can also use rotate XX, and then you can rotate it up and down, which is pretty hard to do. The camera is just looking down. Okay, so there are a lot of transformations that should give you an edge with that. So what you can also do is, of course, you can select and delete stuff. Now this is selected. If I hit X, then I basically delete it either with a mouse click or with Enter. And to add new stuff, there's Shift A, or actually the Add menu, and then I can re-add another cube. Okay, now we have a very nice canyon cube with us. So what we can do is we can rename this cube. Like, say this is our crate. Crate 1, and then we move it along the x-axis, maybe set it on top here, and then we add another crate by adding another cube. Grab C 1 meter, it's up there, and call it crate 02. Okay, I can select them in here in the scene. And also what I also can do is with H, I can hide it. Okay, then it's hidden here. And so I can actually focus on stuff by hiding other stuff. What else can I do? For instance, now to have some effect is I can add a plane and scale it up. And then we have a plane with 2 crates sitting on. Okay, let's take a look through our camera. Doesn't look too bad. Where's the light positioned? It's obviously here in the background. Can you see there. Yeah, we already have kind of a scene. You can also switch between smooth and flat shading. So now we'll just add a UV sphere here. Put a little bit outside here. Also put it here on top, and here we can switch between flat and smooth shading, either with the right mouse button, shade smooth, and then it's a smooth thing. Of course, here shading smooth doesn't work too well as there are 90-degree angles here. So let's shade this one flat. Okay, A selects everything, by the way, and Control I selects the inverse. So maybe I just want to have this one, select the inverse and hide everything beside my object. That would actually work. And Alt H gives me back everything, unhides everything. So if you want to just see something, like I want to focus on this one here, Control I selects the inverse, H hides it. You're back to, I want to see everything, Alt H, and we're back. What's also very important are the view modes. So currently we're in solid view mode. It says so up here. We can go to wireframe mode. As you can see, it just shows the wireframes. You can still select stuff. I mean, you have to get the edges, of course. It's wireframe, so no faces. Solid, we can have the material preview, basically, and we can actually render this stuff. And of course, this is now the difference, that we can see the shadows, and of course, we can position the light. Now we have the light here. We have the preview, and I want to change the light, maybe up and down. You can see it influences the shadows a lot. There's also a trick like using G and Shift C, moves it everywhere, but not in the C, not in the C axis. So typically we have something like that here, and we are ready to go. So there's a lot of shadow, and we have fun with it. Of course, getting it back a little bit, more contrast here, good. And just for good measure, we can actually add another light here, a point light. Where are we here? And G, not C, it's somewhere here. And there we have the light tab. We can actually make it lighter to light up the scene from the front. Maybe this one should not throw any shadow. Okay, and if we look through our scene, then we have at least something with a difference. Okay, we can switch between those things with C. So now we are at rendered. We can go to solid. We can go to wireframe, or we can material preview. Okay, so solid is good enough for us. If you actually want to see it rendered, then it's good to have Eevee set here. We can switch to cycles, but of course this basically takes a lot of time because it's ray tracing everything. And of course, if you configured your computer correctly, and this is a little bit faster if you use cheap compute. But of course, as you can see, moving around in the scene with ray tracing, kind of prohibitive. So we'll stay at Eevee for the time being, and you can have additional fun by trying it out later. Okay, so let's just remove everything from the scene besides the camera. So invert X and gone it is, and we add the a new mesh, a cube. So of course now the rendered stuff doesn't show us too much because we don't have any light. We'll go to solid, and what we can do, we are here in object mode. As you can see up here, there's object mode, and we can switch from object mode to edit mode. Okay, then we'll see it looks a little bit different, and then we can either select points. Okay, that would be the point select version. You can select edges, and we can select faces, depending on what we actually want. And the cool thing about it is that we can actually have fun with it. So for instance, if I select the face, then the same shortcuts would work as they work within the object mode, but only on that face. So if I, for instance, GZ, I grab the face, I can move it up and down. So now I'm basically changing the model. So if I change it to 0, for instance, here, then I have half the box, and going back to object mode gives me still the same box, so scaling did not change. So we changed in model space, but not in world space. Okay, and still set it up 1 meter, and it changed, but now we changed it in world space, but not in model space. Switching between those two spaces can do with tab. And inside this edit mode, you can have a lot of fun. So A is selecting everything basically. B is box select, which gives you the option to select everything within a box. I mean, take these, for instance, then we have these edges here, and of course C, which gives us the opportunity to paint stuff. The right mouse button actually ends it. And here you can only edit this object which you can see. So let's add another object here, like for instance a plane. Grab the plane, move it along here, go here, set tab, and I cannot change the plane because I'm in the model space of this one. I have no way to change the plane here. Okay, I actually have to go here, select it, go back to edit mode, then I can change the plane. Okay, that's because we're in a different model and each model has its own model space. With that, we can actually have a lot of fun in edit mode. So there are different things you can do. For instance, you can edge cut stuff or subdivide stuff. Subdivide stuff here. So that we actually have subdivisions. Wait, let's give it more cuts like this here. And what we can actually then do, we can select one of those faces, grab it along Z and just pull it up. So we already changed something here. Yeah, and there we also have the first problem because this one here is kind of not in a plane anymore. We should definitely triangulate this one. Much better to have this one triangulated. So Control T, triangulate stuff, and we're back to a valid model. Okay, so that is something that is actually pretty cool. Then what else do we have? We have, for instance, loop cuts and knife cuts. I'll just remove the objects here and add a new cube here to start from new. There are the loop cuts here, so I can decide where I want to cut this whole thing. You can cut it in several ways with the mouse wheel. So let's do this, then I can even move them around. But if I press the right mouse button, it will be there, and then we have the new edges here. And I can do the same here with the loop cut, Control R, putting it here, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that was too fast. Cut again, and cut again. So now we are here. And then I can start having fun with the points, for instance. I take this point and pull it up, out, or pull it in, like that. And of course, again, I have to triangulate the faces. Don't forget that in this case, because you're messing up stuff here. Yeah, so this one changes it. There's also a knife cut and ring cuts and loop cuts. You can actually fool around with it. There are multiple tutorials which show you how to do that. What you actually need in edit mode is extrusion. So this is something that works very well. So let's go back to edit mode and delete the stuff and just add a circle here. There you have these things, what you can do with a circle. Maybe I just want to have 16 segments. I want to have it filled, an n-gon, or maybe let's use a triangle fan. And yeah, that's basically what I wanted to do. Now I'm here, and extensions are rather cool because you can just hit E and then it would extend something, like extend it out along the normal. And so we can actually create new meshes. So that's actually pretty cool. And we can have a lot of fun with that, creating crazy stuff. But of course, it's also used for modeling. So if I just add a circle with an n-gon inside, you can actually make a pipe system, which is, see, create from something like that, not a triangle fun, but an n-gon, and go to edit mode, and then let's have a look from side, extrude up here, extrude up here, rotate 45, extrude up here, rotate 45, extrude here, and so on and so on. I mean, these are not the best pipes, definitely not, because they're getting thinner here, but we can fix that, especially that we can show it here with the wireframe model. Switching to wireframe model, you can actually select those edges here, maybe with box select. No, work out too well with box select. Actually have to move into a viewport where we can use the box. Yes, and then when it's selected, we can actually scale it up and make it a little bit bigger here. This one is the worst one. Maybe go for this one with C. No, got quite a lot of that. Yeah, we have to do it manually, whatever. Down a little bit, and here we are. So let's collect them with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One should go away with shift. What do we need? Oh no, need. And I think we're good. We can actually grab that along X and hope for the best, kind of. Yes, rotate it a little bit along Y, and at least it looks a little bit better. Going back to solid. Yeah, it's not the best pipe, but as you can see, you can create a pipe system, and maybe you use less segments for rotation, but you can actually go on. Other stuff you can create is just getting this one here, for instance, extruding it. You can extrude stuff out of here and so on and so on. Okay, so that's extrusion. Also very interesting is inset faces. Because if I use this one here, I can inset the face, extrude it out, insert a face, extrude it out. And yeah, if you know what you're doing, basically you can actually model quite fun stuff with it. You can also extrude individual with Alt E. There are different ways to extrude, and no, we would read long X, maybe like that, yes, whatever. But with Alt E, you can actually change what you're extruding. Okay, so another thing I wanted to show you is the subdivision surface model. We actually used that already. I'll scale this one up, taking a look at it. Oh, we have deleted the camera. Not good. Wait, need a camera. Back here a little bit. And go to edit mode. In edit mode, we can subdivide again. Subdivide, and we want more subdivision, something like that. And what is pretty cool is you can actually use this fractal value to already create something like a landscape. So now this is uneven. It's a little bit randomized, and we can already have fun with it by using this one as kind of a ground, an uneven ground. Go back from edit mode, just lift it up a little bit. We need to add a camera here. Yes, camera is good. Where's the camera? Camera. Oh, it's somewhere here. Pull it out a little bit so that we can see this plane. And we definitely should add some light in here. Light, sunlight. Where's the sunlight? Oh, it's here. Sunlight is directional light, so we basically light the things up based on it. Put it here and switch to the rendered view. Don't see too much, but see that the shading is at least different. Okay, just adding a cube or cylinder here. Scale it in C. Grab C, put it up a little bit, and see something. Rotate X and R. Okay, a very nice example is actually the six-sided die. There's a nice tutorial about that. We can just use a cube again. Just go into edit mode, and was pretty much there. I go into edit mode, and then I basically subdivide this thing. And what I actually want to do, I mean, in this case, no fractals. What I want to do is I want to have this dot here. I select this face, extrude it, put it in a little bit so I can create something like a dot. And if I want to have it here, subdivide and have more cuts. Like me too much, right? So subdivide. At some point, Blender doesn't like me anymore. I don't know why. Cuts? No ring cuts. Like me. I did something wrong, obviously. Yeah, but anyway, there's a nice tutorial about that, and you can learn how to use subdivide and modifiers to create nice stuff. In that case, a six-sided die. So what actually is a very nice opportunity is to create a crate. Boss, you know, crates. First time to crate, everybody needs a crate. We'll start with a cube, and what I do first is I'll raise the cube so that it stands on top of everything, on top of 0, And then here, this orange dot is the origin of the model space of the cube. I want to have the cube origin on the bottom of the cube. So what I can do, there's the 3D cursor, there's the origin. I can actually, for this object, I can set the origin. Object set origin to 3D cursor. Now the origin of the object would be down there. So this totally helps. I mean, not here because it would rotate along this axis, but it helps later to put objects on top of each other. If you have several crates, I want to have the crate sitting on top of a plane. Now we can actually add a plane here. Then I want actually the origin of the crate sitting on the plane. That's a little bit easier to handle actually. Okay, how to actually make a crate then? I'll just hide the plane here. We can focus on the crate. I'll go, of course, to edit mode. And what I actually want to have is I want to select everything. With I actually insert the faces. And then Alt E, extrude faces along normal. I'll just put them a little bit inside. Okay, and as you can see, that's an easy way to already create a crate, which a sturdy frame and panels in between. So that easy it could be if one knows what is to do. And now the cool part is that we can actually, and that's very nice, actually add materials. So here we have a material tab, and we need actually a material, wood. And we basically use this to assign it to each of the faces here. Okay, and then we can change it. For instance, we change the base color, like to here. And there we have shadow. Let's switch to the material preview. It gives us kind of an ambient feel. And yeah, what else we could do is we could actually just select the faces we need and assign a different material to them. Like put in here plus, new, and assign. And this one then would be wood inner. Wood inner. Again, wood inner. And this one we can call wood frame. Okay, and then we'll make wood inner like a little bit lighter here. And then we have a frame in dark wood and something inside that in light wood. Of course, we can do more. We can switch to this shading tab, and there we actually have the different textures. Wood inner, and there should be at some point should be wood outer here. Give it to me. Wood frame, yes. Now I assigned it, which is not the best way to do it. Yeah, obviously this one should be inner. Now everything is wood inner. Anyway, I would assign wood frame. Everything. Control A. Frame. Okay. So that's good enough for us to actually create the material. So we, in the shading tab, we can actually add stuff also with Shift A. And what we want is, I'll just run you through really fast. Done this several times. We really want to have this, this wave texture, which gives us waves on top of that. So that's not too much. We can't do too much, but it's actually cool to have saw waves, which basically give us that one. And what we can do instead of bands, we can do rings, and we can actually distort it. And I think you might be getting it already. That totally looks a little bit like camouflage. but the color is not right. So what we can actually do is we can map it to color. Yes, and maybe not saw, but sign. No, that looks a little bit more like stone. If triangle. No. All looks the best here. And what we actually do is we want to match this to color. So what we want is we convert it with a color ramp. So instead of putting the color in here, we go back to the one, and then we'll put the color out in the base color. First, now it's black and white. That did not help at all. So we now select the black one. I want to have something like some kind of brown and some kind of brown. White. Darker, maybe something like that. That actually looks good. We have this crate. I mean, it doesn't look too good, but it looks okay-ish, kind of. And we can actually use this one for the second part too. Give it copy and go to inner, put it here, color here, the base color, and maybe we want to do the inner a little bit lighter than the outer. So switching to the outer again, the frame. Let's do the frame a little bit darker. That might actually work out. Okay, and then in the materials tab, we're good to go in the edit mode. Actually assign. Oh, we have double frame. Why would there be double frame? Inner. Now, yeah, wait here. That would be wood inner, and also wood inner for 5 inner assign, and Control I would invert it and assign wood outer. Okay, and now we have 2 types of wood here, and we can actually take a look at it rendered. Yeah, doesn't look very original, but you can see you can actually fun with it and fool around a little bit with it. Okay, so what we could do next is we could actually add some lighting here. We already have the sunlight, so that's a good start. Just to give you an idea what else we can do, are we now at wood frame? Yeah, maybe we should go to inner here. And what we can also do is we can add bump mapping. So there's this one. Use this color, actually input the height here and output the normal to the shader. Takes a little time, yes. And that's too much, of course. You can see. So strength down, 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 down. I think inverted looks better. Remove the distance part here down to say that one, and even less strength. That's not too bad. Okay, let's see how this works. In rendered view, we can actually give us back our plane. For the plane, we can just assign some material. What else? Green or something like that. Oh no, we're at edit mode. I want to be at edit mode. I want to have the material there with green, something. Yes. And yeah. We need 3-point lighting. So where's my camera? It's here. Okay. That kind of looks weird. My camera looks weird. Why is it weird? It's a perspective camera. That's good. Oh, okay. That's why it looks weird. Okay. So move in a little bit. Then we'll need to rotate the sun because I don't want to have the faces that are looking towards the camera in the dark. Rotate along Z maybe a little bit. No, the other way around. Yes, that's good. Yeah, then I don't know. You should actually know how to do the 3-point lighting. So I'll put it here. I can actually use this view, align active camera to view to set the active camera to what I wanted. And hitting F12 actually renders this picture. Okay, so that's the rendering of the picture. Now this crate totally aligns with my plane, which is not the best option. Maybe I can rotate the plane along C so that this one has kind of a horizon feeling to it. And scale a little more like that. And move this one a little bit to the side. And what we also can do is we can copy this one over with Shift D, Shift C, and have a second one here. Hitting F12 then gives us a rendering of both. And set this one a little bit so that they're lying around here. Okay, so what we also need is we need a light that lights up the stuff from front. So point light, GZ up a little bit, G not C, moving it away a little bit outside of the camera, and a little bit more. Okay, hitting F12 gives us again feeling on what it does. Maybe remove shadows from this one. And what's also pretty cool is we can add another light from the back. G, Shift C, somewhere here. GZ, up here. No shadows, unreleased. G. That'd be the rim light. Okay, doesn't see the rim light because of the 90-degree angles, but basically that would solve our lighting problem. Move the camera a little bit away. Yes. And then we can set the rendering with Eevee. The sampling can be put in here. So the viewport has 16 samples. The render would have 64 samples. That's quite okay. And then we can add features like ambient occlusion. Bloom actually looks really nice. We can have motion blur, which doesn't make sense if you don't have any animations. You can set the shadows, for instance. You want to have, for instance, a cube size of 64 and 8. Then it is changing the details on the shadows. See? We can have indirect lighting with baking, so that's really nice. And what is actually pretty cool is we can use a transparent film so that where there is nothing will be lighted, and our rendering will be transparent if we use PNG. That is really nice. And the freestyle would then add lines on the edges. I mean, here they're maybe tune this down once more and actually hit F12 to see if it comes up. Yes, see it comes up. Here the edges are with the lines. That's definitely too much. Use 1 pixel, 12, and we're at some kind of borderline rendering, borderlands rendering. Okay, so that would be the rendering of the whole thing. What you also need is you need to look in here. You can set the size of the rendering, which involves your camera size, aspect ratio, and for animations, the frames. If you want to store it, then maybe set the output path to something that actually works, or not /temp if you're on Windows. And yeah. So what we can actually do now is we can further populate the scene, for instance, with Shift D, Z, and just put maybe this crate on top of the other. I'll remove this one. I want to snap it to the nearest face, G, Z, somewhere here. G, yeah, snapping on. No, off again. G, Shift C, because right already. And then we put the crates on top of each other, and they should actually fit. Looking from the top gives us a clear idea that this cannot stand, so definitely should move this one over here or something like that. We hide this one. Yeah, there's still room. G, Shift C, move one here. Alt H. H puts everything together, and then we have a stack of crates. GZC, back a little. GXX and GZ, and then we're now we actually have to move this one back to the rim light, this one a little bit out of here so we don't see too much. Hitting F12 then gives us a good idea how it looks. With freestyle, okay, it's quite nice. We have the shadows here and we have the horizon in the back. Okay, so you can then just add stuff here. For instance, you want to model other things, like I hide everything and we'll just add, for instance, make something like Z1, maybe something like a light color, and have something like a light on top. How can we do that? Let's go into edit mode, extrude, scale, extrude, scale, extrude, scale, extrude. Okay, maybe that's a good light already. Then select this face, triangulate it. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. But does not. Oh, maybe work. But we should start here. Yes, set it down to here. Move it down a little bit. Something that resembles a kind of a lantern. Smaller. Here. Point select, and I want to that. Okay. And maybe that's already a lantern. Maybe not, but Let's do as if it was. Okay. Scale in Z. Yes. Put it up here. And what we then actually can do, we can set up light, and that's now a trick we need with Eevee. We can put a point light into it. Okay, so we'll look at it from the top and then move the point light into this lamp. And then look at it from the side. Put it up here. And then turn it on like crazy. Does it change anything in rendered? Moving the other 2 point lights. Oh yeah, it's up there, but it's of course throwing shadows. But it's lighting up something. Okay, so that's good. Actually, put it down here. Here, and then we have the light interaction. Okay. So of course you can assign materials and stuff and whatever you want, but that would be a very basic approach to actually using Blender. So there are a lot of different ways to actually extrude stuff, and you can also use Boolean operations and sculpting. In Blender, modifiers are extremely powerful, so you can take a look at that. And you can actually just search for a few low poly tutorials, which are rather good. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube, and you can learn a lot. Okay, I hope this small video helps you, and yeah, have fun with creating with Blender. Bye.